Well, my friends, we are back for another video of Gallop Racer 2004. Tanaka's quite upset. What's new? Not much. Not much. 2 races so far, and I don't know how many we'll have after that. I think only 2 or 3. It's going to be a pretty short card today, but we're going to get through it. So, going for gold, 2-year-old filly. Kicking off with the favoritism here in this grade 3. 7 furlong sprint, basically. And just to kind of give you an updated record on Miss Lady going for gold. She has won an allowance, I believe. Yeah, trying to dial her in a little bit more. I still virtually know nothing about her. Auto abilities are pretty good, but the core components of what you need to know about your racehorse, I don't know those things. I don't know where she wants to run. I don't know what her potential is. Her stamina, her speed, her power. I know none of these things. So I'm really just guessing with her, and I hate doing that with horses in this game. I just feel like it's such a stupid mechanic. I wish they would have thought to, like, I don't know, not have it be that way. It's just one of my things. It's not a big deal. If it sounds like I'm complaining, I'm not. Even though it's technically what I'm doing, but it's just one of those little things. I'm just like, ugh. This is just an unnecessary grind that's not even like really a grind. Just gotta wait until that race pops up where it's like boom, then the game tells you the rest of the horse's stats that you need to know. I get stuck with that more often. Maybe I'm one of the only ones, but even horses I've been great with, it's taken that long. No idea what the heck upset going for gold. It's a little bit concerning. Hope she did not burn herself out. I did keep her behind that horse over there, but gosh, her stamina doesn't look good. That could have done her racing. She didn't like going downhill, so it's less than ideal. I feel like that ruined her race for sure, because she's not going to hold on till the end unless something miraculous happens in this last half furlong, and actually she's holding on quite well. The one is challenging, but it's going to be too little too late. Going for gold just barely holds on to a race that I was pretty convinced we had lost. Okay, a win is a win. Not bad. Not bad. Still questions. Still a lot of questions. Her stamina not great, but does she have a good power rating? Because that would be confusing. Because that's kind of what that race felt like. A horse with bad stamina, but good power, and it kind of balanced it out, you know? Double S on the spurt, apparently. Position was C, so she doesn't want to run towards the, front middle? I don't, like, we were closer towards the front. And imagine her just being in the C positioning made her over-eager. It tells me she doesn't have a great temper, so that's annoying, but it's a good win. That's a good win for sure. Just, yeah, she's kind of, speaking of Eastern Knife, she's on a knife edge herself. It feels like that. Like the slightest thing off and she won't have a good day. And then other times she might win. If she's going to be that, like, that reminds me of Awesome Autumn in a way where I definitely underachieved with her, but she was quite a difficult horse to work with at times for me. Awesome Autumn was very independent, I feel like, as a horse. She really wanted to do her own thing, and she wanted you to race her very specifically. Going for gold kind of feels like that type of horse, where, like, if I can figure out that finite point, she'll be a monster. Possibly, but no guarantee. We're moving on to a grade 2, the Argentina Handicap in Washington, D.C. with Eastern Knife is so stacked, man. His speed is the only thing that I wish was higher, but everything else is like, you don't really need much. The response being 43 isn't ideal. But again, he's that type of horse where his other stats, I think, can kind of make up for the lesser than. Like, you can't have a horse with 43 response rating and then have bad stats. That horse needs some stats similar to this. Couple categories, whatever, right? We're the favorite here, as we should be. Should be a breeze, even at 12 furlongs. Because Eastern Knife is just that darn good. Don't really have to do a lot with him. Just run the race correctly and he'll probably do the rest for you. Gets out well every time. I mean, he's one of the best horses in the game, honestly. Like, I feel like Eastern Knife doesn't get enough love in the community. I don't get it. He's such a good horse, honestly. Response rating, again, is the only downside. And I guess if you're worried about loses will, to me, that ability is nothing like close race not good. That ability will definitively kill a race for you, 100%. If it taps into your horse, right? Loses will, I think, is a little bit more has to go wrong, I feel like. But, you know, that's just me. Keeping him off the rough, trying to. He's still technically on it, but should be fine. In fact, I'm actually going to move him out a little bit more. It's kind of how wild this looks when you're watching that kind of bird's eye view of horse racing from the television or something, or wherever you're watching, your phone, laptop. And sometimes the side view doesn't obviously show you really where the horses are on track. Like, I'll be like seeing that they're actually like 4 lengths apart, like in width, 4 widths apart, I suppose, right? They're like 4 widths apart instead of looking like they're literally like 2 inches from each other. You know what I mean? That's always kind of like, wow, that always looks so different. You know, if you're not actually there seeing it from like that angle.
And they're in the home stretch.
Let's go, my guy. Game over. Like I said, Eastern Knife is a really, 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 really good horse. It's so easy with him. Again, like, why isn't he talked about more? Eastern Knife deserves some love, man. I'm just trying to go for records at this point because, like, that's the only thing left to do outside of, like, the normal quests, I suppose. And I don't really care who gets it. Like, all of my horses, I think, are good horses until they prove that they're not. So, if a horse is good enough to make a record and to make it last a while, then rock on, right? 2 for 2 here today, Eastern Knife. As I said, makes quick work of that. 9-length winner and no record. 7.3 in that last fraction. 7.3. That's insane. I don't know if I've ever ran that in this game. 7.3 as a fraction. Look at it. 7.3 then 11. Like, oh, you know what? Before I get myself all excited. That's probably the beginning of the race, clearly, because the pace quickened as we got. Right? I don't think that was the last fraction. I mean, he was on the whip the whole way, so it doesn't matter, does it? It's a grade 2 win there for Eastern Knife, and a grade 3 win for going for gold. So, yeah, definitely the ideal way I like to start off. Just smooth, easy rides with a Revo in there is not too bad, right? Can't complain. Alright, so we have 2 races here today. I kind of want to negotiate a ride for a horse, but horses I've been looking for are not popping up. Rainy Uranus. This actually is not a bad B-ranked horse. I'm kind of confused that it's only B-ranked. Considering that 78 field, 91 hard. And it's the 2-year-old colt. I mean, certainly this is him at his best. Like, he's not going to I don't know, he just looks like an interesting horse. Sorry, Thompson. Gotta go snatch this one from me right quick. I'm also in the mindset of, like, it doesn't hurt to test ride and negotiate a horse, and then you just, maybe you just don't come back to it ever. Like, that, I think that's okay. More racing, more chances for me to see more horses, more running styles. Like, I'm trying to evolve in this game. I know that may sound weird, but it's like, to me, it doesn't make sense just to stick to the same way of playing. I would like to change some things up, learn some things along the way. There's so many horses in this game, guys. There's thousands of horses. There's no way we've all played with every single horse in this game to an extent. You know, like at least 10 races. But there may be 1% or less of people in the entire existence of this game that would have played with every horse for at least a year. But you know what I mean? Like, it just... There could be gems in here that we just don't know about because we haven't tried them out. They could be hidden amongst B or A ranked horses, maybe even C, just for breeding purposes long term. There could be a real sneaker in there, and we could all be missing them. Like, let's be honest here. We could all be missing them. I just don't want to take... I want to, you know, be willing to give it a shot. That's all I'm trying to say. Because again, I think... For me at least, I've had success using less than stellar horses with really good, you know, other pairs, you know, or another pair, proper pairing for that to work. I certainly think it's, I think it's worth trying for certain horses. Of course, it's RNG, right? Unless you're reloading your saves and you just never keep like any horse that you don't want, which I get it. Like, everybody plays differently, it's fine. But I mean, for the most part, right? I think some experimentation we all do in this game at some point. So, you know, I think that's cool. So fourth favorite here was Rainy Uranus in this grade 2. Never worked with this horse, but I've seen the name pop up plenty of times, so I'm willing to give it a shot. Tender value with the record here. I keep saying it every time I see that horse's name. Like, he doesn't actually pop up in the game for me to race against him unless it's like, unless it's specifically, I think he's shown up at the Dream Cup, of course, naturally that. But I mean, like in regular race format. I thought I was there, but maybe not. So pretty easy ride so far with Rainy Uranus. No complaints. Like I said, easy ride so far. Okay, coming in a little bit hot. Just slow down a little bit. There we go, max down. Alright, easy going here. Really easy going.
And they're in the home stretch. Show your gut.
Ah, I started too late. Ah, just mistimed it. Just mistimed it. I was going to go sooner, but I hesitated. I usually don't do that, but it happens. Now, luckily, this horse is still fighting back. Don't know if it's going to be for the win. Certainly, I messed it up, not nailing the timing of that, but I don't know. We're still in luck. I spoke too soon. There's a reason why I wanted to ride that horse. We almost... That should be us. Rainy Uranus with the win in the grade 2 for the first time ride. Something about this horse, man. I wanted to give a ride, and I felt like it would be a ride like that. And lo and behold, a win for Rainy Uranus. Gosh, I'm not going to want to have to go through saying that in my head, though, because, like, people from all over the world say it in completely different ways. Like, I'm just, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to say it how I say it from where I'm from. But, gosh, it could be pronounced either way. It could be Uranus or it could be Uranus. Like, it could be either or. I hate it. I hate that. I'm going to call the horse actually Rainy Uranus. I feel better with that. You could even spell that differently and it would sound the same. You know, like, I'm just going to go with that. Rainy Uranus. Rainy, gosh, I'm over it, but that's a great win. So that's a horse I'm definitely going to want to look out for. That's a fun ride. And if we can do that, if I can rack up a lot of wins, it'd be worth it. But we'll have to wait till another time. Precious up in a grade 3 going 10 furlongs. The favorite. Just kind of a tune-up race. Really nothing for this guy to do. Pretty strong. Should be an easy breeze here. But yeah, that was a really good ride there with Rainy. Certainly hope I can find that horse again. Gracious Scene gets off here well. Don't need to go for the lead. I love the support of the the AI, the artificial intelligence in the Gallop Racer gaming backgrounds. They show up to every race selling it out, which in all honesty is kind of what the horse racing actually looks like in Japan. Sometimes I think like Americans are under this weird illusion that like we have like our tracks on average are selling out more than most Japanese or even Korean tracks, and that's not the case. There's a reason to me why so many tracks here have closed down in areas over the last couple of decades. Like, you know, like it just, to me, I think you have to treat the sport as different than what it is. And maybe I think there's a gradual effort towards that, but it's probably still not happening as quickly as I think it should. Of really trying to put more emphasis on the horses, I think, in horse racing. That's what Japanese horse racing is all about. Their videos, half of their highlight videos, even on their JRA intro, are about the horses. You know what I mean? With these cool animations and effects, and like they build stories around the actual horses themselves. One thing about American racing that's always annoyed me to an extent, it's always about the humans above all, even though without the horse, the human is not, you know what I mean? Like, yes, these people could still be well off, but I'm saying like their success in horse racing is nothing without the horse. You know, like it's a co-partnership, you know, the horse is willing to work alongside us to compete in these, you know, insane spectacles of speed and stuff, right? You're tapping into the horse's wild innate ability to want to run, to want to lead, and you're driving that forward in a competitive environment, which is, you know, it's good for horses, and then it obviously doesn't turn out good for others. That's the nature of the sport. It's no different than horses trying to survive in the wild. They're in herds. They have to outrun predators. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just in regards to survival and horses having to do what they have to do in regards to their speed. Like, they're always going to, you know, buck it when they can. I mean, they're magnificent animals. So I just feel like they should be honored more in the sport and not so much about the connections and the connections. It's like, yes, we know the connections are responsible for the training, the jockey for the riding, the owners for, you know, all we get all of that. But like, again, without the horse, all of this is nothing. And I think that's a difference between Japanese horse racing and American horse racing. I'm speaking specifically American. I think even horse racing in the UK and even Australia to some extent show off more of the horses in a way. America feels like it has to be a special story for, you know, the media to care about a horse, as opposed to just like, oh, look at this magnificent animal and its achievements that it's making, you know, in this in this sport, the spectacle that we have. I think that's part of the connection. Like when you even look at horse racing memorabilia and merchandise and apparel in Japan, you can get stuff for different horses. Like they have almost their own branding, you know, in a way where it's like you can become a real fan and wear these horses' shirts. I swear to you, I still feel like Zenyatta is one of the more recent horses in the last 2 decades that had such a following like that. That's one horse in American horse racing in the last 20 years. Japan seems to have that a few every half decade to, you know, a decade. And I think American horse racing needs more of that connection, but that also requires you to kind of shift your thinking when it comes to the sport and the business. And I think people aren't willing to do that yet. I got to be honest. I have no problem standing on that hill and repping it. I think people are scared to kind of shift their opinion of horse racing, that yes, we should and could and can enjoy the sport for what it is, but we should also put more emphasis on how magnificent these horses are and not just treating them as accessories to wealthy owners that don't need these horses anyways. In most cases, there's obviously some really humble families that obviously are not in that same class, but a lot of the horses are owned by some of the wealthiest people that me and you know of, right? So take that into consideration. I understand that's the way the sport has been, but again, even with wealth in Japan, they still treat the horses with a lot of respect. You know what I mean? And I think that's the main difference, man. And I think American horse racing is always going to struggle to kind of get over that hump, I think, of winning more people over until they start to treat it in that way. You know, that to me is the main problem with it. And I don't think that will change until people that are important in the business start to shift their mindset. I don't know when that's going to happen. To be honest with you. Flying Home, she's up here in the Empress Cup. She's been on a roll. She wins. So I'm really not, I'm not worried at all. Tough race for sure, tough field, but she gets it done. Don't mean to go on a rant there and obviously offend anybody, but I'm being honest. I think if you actually pay attention to the way horse racing is presented around the world, since I've tried to do content on it and I try to keep up with a little bit of everything, not as much as some of you do, but I try when I can. That's one clear thing I've noticed. I think anybody would notice. Horse racing is presented a lot differently elsewhere, and I think it's more popular and faces less resistance as such. I feel like America faces the most resistance when it comes to horse racing, and I think it's because of the presentation and how they treat it. That's my one gripe. I will always say that. I've been saying that for years, but like I'm so serious on that. You know, seriously, sometimes it just gets to the point where I want to keep up more with American horse racing because it's the closest to me. I can go see a lot of these horses run at tracks around me when I can, but again, I would like there to be more focus on the horses. There are some amazing creatures. Like, I'm always in awe anytime I'm around them, even when they're in the paddock or they're in the post parade. They're so graceful, man, you know, and they have such personalities. Horses are awesome. Like, I love horses, and I just hate that the American side of the business doesn't portray them as such. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's a shame, right? I hope that changes in the next decade. I don't expect it to happen anytime soon. But I hope with new owners and new people coming into the business from more humble backgrounds and just humble beginnings, I hope that the image starts to change in that way. Where yes, the people are important, but also just as equally important is the animal right there besides them. You know, I feel like that the US, the American side of the sport, I should say, is missing that. I feel like even down in like South America and the island nations, they treat their horses in a way, you know, that is just of much higher regard than how Americans do overall. We have to become obsessed with the horse to treat them like they're some special star instead of just getting behind a couple of horses, even if they're not the greatest. And I know there are stories like that have happened, but they're, to me, too far and few between. And Flying Home, as I said, she's going to walk away and dominate this Empress Cup because all she does is freaking win, man. What a filly we have hit on here with Flying Home. What a filly we have hit on. She is an absolute megastar, man, and she continues to impress. There's nothing I even need to do. That's all about the horse. I'm just going for the ride at that point. Flying Home was the perfect name for her as well. The perfect name. Maybe it was a premonition. We knew she would be this good. That's why the name just had to fit. But yeah, it's my only thing. Like, I want to cover American horse racing more, but like Saratoga really, it affected me heavy last year. The amount of horses that died on track in like 2 weeks that I was watching. I'm just like, bro, we have to start paying attention more to the freaking horses. And we have to stop pushing them harder if they're not capable and they're not ready or mature yet. I know it's all in the name of money, but it's getting harder for me to withstand.